Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. First up, really easy dinner. I had been cleaning and cooking all day preparing for Father's Day, so I said, you know what, it's frozen pizza for dinner tonight. I'm doing the Motor City Pizza Company pepperoni. This is really good pizza, by the way. And then I love pepperoni pizza with hot honey. Taylor Elmore, I saw her try that and she recommended it. It is delicious. And then I also like adding some of this like Parmesan seasoning. We got this at a little spice shop in Georgia, but you may be able to find it online. But that combination of the pepperoni, the pizza, the hot honey, and that, chef's kiss. It is delicious. And then I'm just going to do a really quick Caesar salad, just some lettuce and some of the Ken's creamy Caesar dressing. I baked up the pizza according to the package instructions. It took about 20 minutes or so in the oven, and then put together the Caesar salads, and here are the plates. Quick and easy, delicious dinner. The next day was Father's Day, so my mom and dad and my siblings came over for us to celebrate. I made Gary the lunch that he requested, and then made my dad what he wanted for dinner. He wanted steaks, and we have a family friend that does catering for Famous Dave's, and they had some leftover steaks from an event. She gave them to my mom and dad, so they had them these steaks in the freezer. They're partially cooked and pre-seasoned, so I just had to basically sear them off on the Blackstone. I did add a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit of the Kinder's steak seasoning. And then we cooked up some hot dogs just in case people didn't, want steaks. And then my dad requested potato salad, and I made that with, I've shared how I make that before on my channel. I'll link the video down below. Just my dad prefers Miracle Whip over mayonnaise, so I used Miracle Whip instead of mayonnaise like my recipe calls for. And then I cooked up 2 mini potatoes for the potato salad. So I did a loaded baked potato salad. Again, I've shared that before. I'll put it down below. My dad, when he said steak, he said onions. I didn't know what he meant, so I just sauteed up some onions and mushrooms for us to eat on our steaks. And then I made some cowboy beans. There was a miscommunication. My mom thought I wanted her to bring cowboy beans, so she brought some. So we just had double the beans, but it was okay. They both got eaten. And then I set out some salad mix along with all different kinds of toppings and dressings, and yeah, everybody can make their own salad. Here is a picture of my plate, and then I forgot to get a picture of the desserts. My sister made some brownies with chocolate chips in them, and then my dad requested butter pecan ice cream, so I set out the brownies, set out the butter pecan ice cream along with some vanilla ice cream, and then just all different kinds of sundae toppings so that people could do brownie sundaes or just brownies or just sundaes, whatever they want to do. But yeah, dinner was so good. For dinner the next night, I tried a new recipe for bean and cheese flautas. I will post that in the description box below for you, but I'm going to start out by making a dipping sauce. This is from the plain chicken. That recipe will also be linked down below. You're going to need some salsa, use whatever kind you want, sour cream. You could also do this with Greek yogurt, and then a little bit of lime juice. I didn't have fresh, so I'm just using the stuff from the bottle, and a packet of Fiesta Ranch mix. So we're going to mix all of that together, and then you want to let this sit in your fridge rather, and chill out for at least 30 minutes. You can even make this several hours or the day before. To go along with the flautas, I decided to do like a creamy Mexican style corn. I didn't follow a recipe. I was just using what I had on hand, but let me show you what I did. In this little pot here, I'm going to add in a little bit of butter. I'm using plant butter. Use what you want. And then I had some onions and a yellow bell pepper and orange bell pepper were part of one anyway. And so I just finely diced those and seasoned it with a little bit of salt. Cooked it for maybe 3 to 5 minutes until the veggies got tender. I had chopped them pretty small, so it didn't take very long at all. Then I added in a can of corn that I drained. You can add whatever seasonings you want. I literally just opened the spice cabinet and just started grabbing. I decided to add in a tiny bit of adobo, followed by some ground cumin, and then smoked paprika. I added a little bit of pepper off camera, and then I am going to give this a stir, and I cooked this about 10 minutes on really low heat. Honestly, that's only because that's how long it was taking me to cook the flautas. Just a couple minutes and this would be done. Right before it gets done though, I'm going to add in just maybe a tablespoon or so of this whipped cream cheese, give it a stir, and then once the cream cheese has melted, it's ready. I decided to add in a little bit of chopped cilantro at the end, and this is what that corn looked like. It was really good. In this bowl here, I've got some refried beans. These are dehydrated beans that I rehydrated. I'm going to add in a little bit of salsa, and remember this recipe with all the measurements will be down below. And then for seasonings, I'm going to add some chili powder, garlic powder, and cumin. You could also just use some taco seasoning. You are going to give this a good mix and then give it a taste. Adjust the seasonings to your taste. I felt like it needed a little bit of taco seasoning. Well, really all the seasonings, but I didn't want to fool with adding the 3, so I just added in some taco seasoning. Give it one final stir, and then that is it for the bean mixture. Now for the tortillas, we're using flour, which is why they're flautas, not taquitos. But just use, whatever you prefer. I'm going to lay down a layer of those refried beans, and I did leave a little bit of one edge without any beans. You're going to add some shredded cheese. Use whatever shredded cheese you want. I just have cheddar, and then we're going to roll that up. Now, you can absolutely fry these in oil on top of the stove. I decided to cook them in the air fryer, so just place them in my air fryer, spray them with some cooking spray. And these cooked at, I believe, 370 degrees for about 6 minutes. I did flip them over halfway. This is what they look like. And I mean, you can fry them on top of the stove absolutely if you want to, but I found they got plenty crispy in the air fryer. Here is a picture of my plate. Gary ate later than I did, but he had the exact same thing. We've got a couple of the flautas with the corn, some cilantro on top as a garnish, and then that dipping sauce. And this was a yummy little dinner, and it took like no time at all. Dinner the next night was off of our dinner meal plan, but I had it on the meal plan for lunch one day. It just sounded good for dinner. It's turkey bacon ranch subs. So let me show you what I used. I have these artisanal sausage rolls. I got them last week on digital markdown at Kroger. So I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to use the turkey out of this. I've got some sliced Colby Jack. I'm going to use that for my sandwich. Pepper Jack on Gary's. Got some tomato I'm going to slice up, lettuce, and then I'm using this Lighthouse Ranch, and I forgot to show you the bacon. I just baked this up in the oven. So all I did was, open up the rolls. I put the turkey on one side, the cheese on the other, popped it in a 400-degree oven for maybe about 8 to 10 minutes until the bread was toasted and the cheese was melted. I then added on my bacon, then the lettuce, the tomato, and the ranch, and called it a day. For the side, I had these Rally's French fries, so just cook those up according to the package instructions, and another quick and easy, yummy dinner. For dinner the next night, I made ground orange chicken. This is basically orange chicken just made with ground chicken instead of you battering and deep frying, regular chicken breast. I cannot for the life of me remember if I've made this before, but I'll have the recipe linked in the description box below for you. I'm going to start out by making this sauce. These are the ingredients, and check that recipe in the description box below to see the measurements. I've got mirin, sesame oil, soy sauce, sugar, white vinegar, and then you need orange zest. Disregard the oil. I had that out and thought it was for the sauce, but it was just to cook the chicken. I read through the reviews on this recipe, and there were a lot of people that said that instead of the sugar, they used some of the juice from the orange, and so I replaced half of the sugar that the recipe calls for with orange juice. Now, in this large skillet, you can use a wok if you want to. I have this on about medium-high heat. I've got oil in it. Once the oil is really hot, I'm going to add the chicken, and the recipe suggests letting it get a crust on there before you break it up, so that's what I did. After the chicken is cooked all the way through, we're going to add in some crushed red pepper flakes. You can add this, according to your family's tastes. Next, I'm going to add in some minced garlic and ginger. Now, you can absolutely grate your own fresh, but I'm just using the stuff from the jars. I'm going to give this a stir and cook this for 30 seconds. At that point, I'm ready to add in that sauce that we made. And I did double the sauce ingredients, by the way. I knew we were going to serve this over rice, and so I wanted lots of sauce, for us for the rice. Once you've added in the sauce mixture, you're going to add in a cornstarch slurry, just cornstarch in a little cold water. Give that a stir, and it just takes a minute or two to thicken up, and then you're done. Give it a taste, adjust for your taste, and the amount of time it took you to cook the ground chicken is basically this entire recipe. So really good for a quick and easy weeknight meal. I served it over rice, like I said. I just cooked it up in my rice cooker. You could serve it over noodles, brown rice, whatever you want. And then I decided to do some Asian roasted broccoli and carrots. I have made this a couple times before on my channel. I'll quickly walk you through it tonight, and the recipe will be down below. Once again, I'm going to start out by mixing up the sauce. I've got rice vinegar, sesame oil, a little bit of sriracha, some soy sauce, and brown sugar. I'm just going to mix everything up. Now, for the actual cooking method of this recipe, I do vary from the written recipe just a little bit. So here's what I do. First up, I've got some carrots. I toss them with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, placed them on a baking sheet, popped them into the oven. It was 400 degrees. And I cooked the carrots for about 10 minutes by themselves. I had some sugar snap peas in the fridge that really needed to be used up, so I decided to add them to this. So I added the sugar snap peas, again, toss it with olive oil, a little salt, and then cooked it with the carrots for about 8 minutes. At that point, I added some fresh broccoli florets, again, little bit of oil, little bit of salt, and then I give that a toss along with the sauce that we just made. Then this is going to go back into the oven and cook a final 8 minutes or until that broccoli is tender. And really, you want all the vegetables to be tender and a little bit golden brown. And then as a garnish, I added some sesame seeds to the veggies. Here are the plates. So we've got some of the rice, that ground orange chicken, and then I garnished the orange chicken with some chopped green onions. And then we, of course, have the veggies. Another super, really easy, quick weeknight meal, and it was good. The only thing I will say is I didn't love the texture of the ground chicken, but I think that's my fault. I think I used too lean of a chicken because the chicken was like in strings, if that makes any sense. But I think that's more my bad for grabbing too lean of a chicken. But otherwise, quick and easy, yummy little dinner. For dinner the next night, Gary was not hungry at dinner time, and I really didn't know what I want. I had bought this Hungry Jack skillet meal. This is the Cheeseburger Mac. I think I got this at the Dollar Tree. This was in my pantry, and it just sounded good to me. I didn't have any ground beef thawed, though. So what I did was I had some of the frozen hamburger patties, that you get at Walmart or Kroger or wherever. And I just pulled 2 out of the freezer, put them in a pan just like I was frying them up for hamburgers. But I chopped them up instead and then just followed the package instructions for the hamburger skillet. And then for the side, I have some frozen peas and carrots, just added them to a little saucepan with a little bit of, just a tiny little splash of chicken broth, a little tiny pat of butter, and some salt and pepper. And then I simmered them until they were warmed all the way through. You got to have hamburger helper, homemade hamburger helper, Hungry Jack skillet meal, whatever you call it. You got to have just plain white bread with a little bit of butter to go along with it. So that was my dinner that night. And a quick note, just in case you're curious, I actually like that Hungry Jack better than I have the hamburger helper. I feel like hamburger helper has changed taste over the years, or maybe my tastes have changed. The last time I had it, I did not like it very much, but I did enjoy that Hungry Jack one. That was good. And then for the last dinner in this week's video, we just did leftovers. Gary had some of the leftover ground orange chicken and rice, and then I had some of the leftover Cheeseburger Mac, and that was our dinner that night. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video. You got some dinner ideas from it. If you did enjoy it, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.